And it made a really big impression on me that we humans are tool builders and that we can fashion tools that amplify these inherent abilities that we have to spectacular magnitudes. And so for me, a computer has always been a bicycle of the mind.
Steve Jobs once said in an interview that the bicycle turns a human into the most energy-efficient creature on Earth. Speaking of efficiency, today I have the rare opportunity to interview not one but two directors of BMW Group Asia at once. Lars Nielsen is the managing director of BMW Group Asia. Being Danish, an appreciation for nature and an active lifestyle is very much part of the Scandinavian way of life. Today, Lars is rocking up in a BMW iX. Not only does this futuristic SAV looks like it comes from the next century, the iX is built exclusively as an EV. Completing our group today is Kit Yam, head of Mini Asia. Naturally, he's arriving in a Mini Cooper SE, otherwise known as a Mini Electric. The British brand proves that electric motoring doesn't have to come with a compromise in its famous go-kart-like handling. As efficiency is the theme of today's video, we're going on a bike ride together, and we'll be talking about their most efficient cars, which are of course EVs. Right, Lars, Kid, so how do you find the ride so far?
It's been very nice, very nice. It's a lovely area. Huh?
You like the place?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice as well. I think the weather has been perfect today as well.
Yeah. So how do you find Singapore compares to where you've been posted to in other parts where cycling is concerned?
So from my point of view, Singapore is very bike friendly. And you see that up the East Coast here is a good example of this. Plenty of room. I know there are a lot of people visiting as well, but there is plenty of room to and opportunities to go biking. Some of the other places I've lived, there have been places where we've been doing more biking than in others. So typically Europe, Denmark, Germany is very bike oriented. The desert in Dubai and Thailand with the traffic, not so much, or a little less I would say. Yeah. But Singapore definitely does it for me.
Nice. What about Kid?
Yeah, I think Singapore offers diverse trails for all kind of bike riders and bike types. For example, here in East Coast Park, you have the park connectors for leisure riding. On the road, it's pretty safe to do road biking, and of course, Singapore also offers gravel and also mountain biking trails as well, like Bukit Timah or Chestnut. Nice. It's really an amazing place for all bike riders. And the past 2 years also, I've seen a huge take-up rate of cyclists in Singapore, and more people are actually taking up cycling as a mode of transport to office as well, to workplace, which is something unheard of 3-4 years ago.
Taking up cycling, has it changed the way you drive or the way you want to drive more efficiently, you feel? Does it help your driving?
Yeah, I think imagine yourself on a bike, you're like the engine of a vehicle or even an electric motor, right? If you do a lot of stop, start, push the car, of course the efficiency is not there. But if you ride on a constant speed, like you're riding a bicycle, really non-stop, constant speed, it will help you to be a bit more efficient as well. I think there are also things that you also can relate to vehicles like aerodynamics. How you position your body, using the right form when you're cycling. All these kind of relate to the whole driving.
You can feel how it makes a difference.
Exactly, yeah.
So you both drive EVs. I noticed you came last today in a BMW iX, and Kid, you came in a Mini SE or Mini Electric. Has driving an EV given you a new appreciation for the environment or the way you explore Singapore, for example?
It has, because you need to, you learn to drive an EV. I was the biggest petrol head. Love the sound of a roaring six-cylinder inline six-cylinder, But I have to admit, these days I really love the driving feel of an EV as well. When BMW launched, it was a revelation as well. The appreciation for the environment comes from understanding how the car is constructed, the intention behind it, and obviously the amount of conversation in general in society, in media, through government channels or authority channels that takes place today on the environment means that I believe that basically everyone is aware. Yeah? We need to take care, we need to be protective of it. Yeah? We're sitting here in the park right now, which is a common area for all Singaporeans. Having this destroyed would be disastrous. Yeah? You get that appreciation in, I think, and you do that obviously when you make a choice for the car that you are buying and driving as well.
What has changed what do you like about driving about EV? You said before you were a petrol head, you like the roar of the 6-cylinder engine and all that. Now what has changed? What do you appreciate about an EV?
EV, it's on or off. Yeah? You don't need the revelations, so you have instant torque, you have instant power. I find that very interesting. Yeah, that's how I like to drive. The sound of the EV as well has really been a thing for me. I've been advocating this to everyone I know because obviously an EV is quiet. So the cooperation that BMW Group entered into with Hans Zimmer on creating the actual sound of the car once it's accelerating is it's amazing. Yeah.
So would you say at this point in time, everyone should be making a switch to an EV? Is it right for everyone, or is there still a place for ICE models?
There is definitely still a place for ICE models, and BMW Group as a whole believes that that will be the case also in quite some years going forward from now. But obviously EVs will be taking up a larger and larger share of the total amount of sales that we are having. There will be markets as well, and Singapore here I think is a good example of this, that will be going 100% EV. And I think Singapore as a country, in terms of size, infrastructure, setup and so on, is very fit for that as well. Yeah? So it's possible to do it here, it's possible to execute it. And here obviously the charging infrastructure, the access to electricity is a key topic to discuss. Singapore can do it, yeah? No doubt about it. But the individual needs, habits, where do you need to go? How often do you need to go? How far do you need to go? What kind of convenience do you need? Your life with your car as a mobility do you need there? Yeah? I think those are some of the questions that needs to be asked. Yeah? And then you find out whether you go left or right in the decision.
Kid, I understand you drive to Malaysia and you've driven it in your Mini electric. How ready are we to travel to Malaysia, being our nearest neighbour, in EVs? How practical is it?
It was a kind of a mixed experience for me driving or taking the Mini Electric all the way from Singapore back to Kuala Lumpur. I think the charging infrastructure is almost there, especially in Malaysia along the expressway, along the highways. But I think one of the things that Lars mentioned earlier about habits and also getting prepared, you have to do early preparation to really know where exactly you need to stop and charge. Something that I think a lot of EV owners need to develop new habits versus how you drive a petrol car or ICE car. But all in all, I would say based on the current EVs that we have in the market here, the range is possible to drive from Singapore to KL and back, especially with all the fast charging that's already available along the expressway. But one advice I would say is to do your research, download the necessary apps, make sure that you know where exactly the charging station is, spend some time, enjoying the road trip.
Sounds a little like the habits. It's a kind of a hassle to make the switch. I would say it's not. Yeah. So with the Mini E since 2008, actually BMW Group has studied this. Yeah, the behavior of EV drivers, and those habits are changing very, very frequently because the advantages of driving an EV is supporting. It's just a different mode that you get into, but you could change anything in your life, and you would need to go into this.
It's a relearning of way to do things.
Yeah, but plugging in for charging electricity is not the same as going into a petrol station per se.
Yeah.
That is one of the habits that you need to be aware of. Yeah? And it doesn't work, obviously, that you don't have a place to charge the car if you're running it down. Yeah, and this is the preparation that the kid is talking to. But it becomes second nature to you fairly fast. Yeah,
you just charge whenever you see a opportunity.
I think one of the biggest change of habit that I've experienced driving an EV in Singapore is where do I do my groceries.
Right.
So with an EV, I would choose a place where they have a charging stations available. So within the 20-30 minutes that I do the groceries, it will fully charge the car from 0 to 80%. Yeah, for mini electric.
I bet you in Singapore, not too long from now, that's going to be a competitive advantage for malls, grocery stores, etc., whether they are capable of offering charging opportunities for customers.
I think to an extent it already is. I've had EVs over the weekends and stuff like that, and that has certainly influenced the decision on where we go to eat and where we choose to spend the time. And we have to first look up, is there going to be a charging point there? Is it available and stuff like that?
Exactly.
So Kid, what do you like about driving an EV?
I can only share my experience driving the Mini Electric. I mean, one of the core DNA of Mini is the go-kart feeling, agility and adrenaline rush. All these are available in the Mini Electric, with the instant torque of the electric motor, and then the size of the Mini, which is still the same, offer the same dimension in terms of the exterior and interior as well, very familiar. And it really drives like a go-kart now, with the lower center of gravity, with the electric powertrain layout. So all in all, at the end of the day, a Mini Electric is still a Mini first and an EV second. So for all Mini lovers out there, when they experience a Mini Electric, they will instantly fall in love with it.
I was really impressed that when you got here, I saw that the bike you brought along, how well the bike still fits there, and I think there's still room for some groceries and other luggage as well.
And also one of the philosophy behind the design of a Mini is the clever usage of space.
Right.
So like you see, the bike behind me is a Mini official merchandise folding bike. You fold it, you can easily put it at the boot.
It's designed to fit in.
Yeah,
the boot.
even without folding the rear seat.
Right,
So you
right.
still have space for 4 passengers.
That's really cool, I think. So Lars, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about making that switch to an EV? How do they decide if it's right for them or not?
So I would build on what Kit just mentioned, stating that Mini is a Mini first and then it's an EV. I think that's a very nice way, it's a good way of putting it. The characteristics, the philosophies behind how Mini is putting a car together, how BMW is putting a car together, remains the same any day. The EV part is a drivetrain, it's what brings the car forward in the end. And to that extent, probably the best advice that both Kit and I can give is you go down and try it. Yeah? You try it, you know what a regular combustion engine feels like, a petrol car, a diesel car. You may not know yet what an EV is or how it drives, how it feels. You need to go and have that experience. And so I think this is the best advice that we can give. Everything else that we've discussed today on infrastructure that needs to come in place and so on, we both have full confidence in Singapore. There are big plans for a lot of charging points being developed, 60,000 until 2030. 2025, there needs to be 3 charge points in every HDB. That part is coming. So really what you need to go down and do is you need to try out what that feels like.
So thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having us.
No problem.
Thank you.
Shall we continue the rest of the ride?
Let's go.
Going for a bike ride with Lars and Kit was not only fun, but it was also enlightening to find out their views on living with an EV in Singapore. In cycling with my new friends, I also found out how the latest BMW and Mini EVs can complement activities like this.